joining us is Jackie Ingram. And Jackie, you are in partners with Home on the Range Organics, and you are one of the leading, and I'm going to use the word forces, behind this overwhelmingly successful conference that was held in Vancouver called Fresh Milk Food Politics. Congratulations.
Well, thank you. Ooh, drum roll.
Yeah. All right. Well, tell me a little bit about the genesis of the conference. Where did the idea come from? Why now? And what do you hope to achieve by having just a stellar panel of speakers? The hall was filled to capacity, and the best darn food in town, not to mention really great wine from Lotus Land.
Lotus Land, yeah, and R&B Brewing and Terra Breads and good Lord, all of them. And if I don't mention them all, I could be in trouble.
Well, that's okay. We'll run credits for you, okay?
The genesis behind this was really something that Alice and I got left with when the baby got thrown out the bathtub. It was originally called the Fourth Milk International Milk Symposium, and it was originally scheduled for 18 months ago. And this thing, from a variety of disguises, wasn't going to be run by myself or Alice. It was run by another organisation in the States, and it just didn't happen. And Alice and I wanted it to happen. We knew that it needed to happen here in BC. We'd had a pretty good ride. We'd had I was lucky enough to get a one-on-one with Christy Clark.
Yep.
I did have lunch with the Minister of Agriculture.
And I want to talk about that, because in your welcoming address, you kind of recited sort of the events leading up to this, and you mentioned that he paid, and I need to correct you, darling.
The taxpayers.
We paid, but okay.
The taxpayers paid it.
But you know what? And money well spent in my books, okay?
Yeah, money well spent. And so we knew that the movement, if we want to call it that, needed to go further, and it just wasn't going to be won, on farms and pickets and courtrooms to a certain extent.
Hunger strikes.
Yeah, hunger strikes. It kind of needed to be. I am a corporate animal. I mean, really, at the end of the day, I am probably very corporate, and so. When the conference didn't happen, I think it got postponed again and then cancelled. And I remember being quite grumpy for a few days, and then one Friday morning...
Hey, God help the world if Jackie Ingram is grumpy, and especially your husband, no doubt.
Yeah, and I can remember this one Friday, I said to Alan, that's it. I'm going to do it. I'm going to find this thing and we're going to do it. We're going to do it. And I didn't answer the phone to Alice or Alan or Bert. These are three of my business partners. I got a text message from Alice saying, I'm really scared, where are you? And then I called back, it must have been about 7 hours later, said, right, we're doing it. It's going to be here. We've got the Cradle Cathedral. We're doing it. And that was it. And so then that day I had to get back on the phone to some of the speakers who were originally scheduled, and they said, well, it's cancelled. Mark McAfee stepped up to the plate immediately. I spent half an hour on the phone. I didn't even have to convince him. I just explained who I was, what we were trying to do. And he said, you know what? I'll come up.
I'm in. Yeah.
I'm in, and I'll waive my speaker fees. And that was it. And then this machine we went into motion. We talked to our sponsors. We asked them, would they donate food? Yes, they would. We looked at what type of event we needed. How political did this need to be? How reasonable did it need to be? And interestingly enough, in the demographics of today's conference, 20% of the audience are actually herd share members. The other 80% are not.
Yeah.
They're outside the group. Now, how fantastic is that?
Oh, that's success in spades.
I mean, when I originally saw Dave Ito, the new chief executive for the BC Dairy, I saw his email, come through. I actually took my glasses off to look at it again to make sure. And then we had Nikki Glenning, the development officer for Land and Food Systems faculty up at UBC. I learnt about an hour and a half ago that we have had somebody from the BC Centre for Disease and Control here, and they said, okay, let's do it. You guys presented information today. Let's talk. Let's open the door.
The fact that dialogue has been open now, and the credibility of the speakers. I look at Nadine Eisen, her studies just released. I mean, big event happened here.
Big event.
Looking at the data and just ultimately credible in her presentation and
Absolutely.
how she approaches the science of this.
And she approached this from 7 months ago. She said to me, Jackie, look, I'm working on something, and can I ask you about this? Nadine is part of our group, and whenever I have these phone calls with ministers or politicians or health officials, as I did with Dr. Evan Adams, there's a core group that we keep in the loop.
Right.
And Nadine said to me, Jackie, I've been thinking about that. He's right. We need to educate them.
Yeah.
How are we going to do it?
Yeah.
She is a scientific researcher. I'm not.
Yeah.
And so she just went off and she did it. And we always knew there would be some moments where it might play devil's advocate on both sides.
But that's great.
But that's brilliant because
we want to be dealing in truth and in honesty.
Honesty and transparency.
Right.
And that's what we've got today. We're hiding nothing.
Yeah. Oh no, I was so thoroughly impressed. I mean, the panel, Mark McAfee, all the way up from California,
I know.
And what I'm going to say it, ball buster he is. I wouldn't want to get in his way, man. He just mow you over. I don't think he'd even know that he mowed you over.
That's right.
He is a man on a mission, and a mission for humanity, which makes it really good.
Yeah.
Michael Schmidt.
Compassionate, stubborn German.
Oh, he belongs to the people, the Canadian people. Man, we're lucky to have him.
Yeah, I think so.
And with such integrity and, I listened to his story, and we've interviewed Michael before on Roadkill Radio, and what he's gone through. In Canada, nobody should have to go through to be arrested, to be, always hauled up and
persecuted,
called a criminal.
His privacy was violated on so many accounts. Sometimes when I put my other hat on, I get so mad, so angry.
Spied on, deceived.
I just have to. Part of me has to push through that.
Yeah,
and that's what this conference did today.
But he comes to this issue still with the spirit of humility and compassion, and I'm not sure I could be that good of a person under those circumstances.
I'd have thrown stones back.
You and me both. But he understands. He will not be bullied by the bullies.
That's right. Yeah, that's right.
And he will not sink to their level. Yeah. Just such a walking testimony to the integrity that's behind this movement, the commitment and the integrity to what everybody's trying to accomplish here. Karen Selleck.
Oh yeah,
brilliant lawyer.
Yeah.
Respected across Canada, out here on the milk issue, right?
Yeah, love it.
Well, because her heart and she's trying to educate Canadians of, hey, wake up, people.
And you know what her classic line is? Don't think for a second just because of the change of office. What's going to make a difference?
Her instruction was bang on. She was wake up, people. Yeah. This is what's really going on. This is the game we're involved in, right?
That's right.
Whether we want to be playing it or not, this is the reality of it. Jason Gradle.
Oh yeah.
Another dynamo.
Another little dynamo there, and I love it. And he said, well, when I asked him, I don't want to be talking about anything on law. And I said, well, what about food politics? Can you talk about food politics? Oh, hell yes. And I said, well, what do you think you need then? 30 minutes? Yeah, at least.
Yes. You're living dangerously giving a lawyer a podium with an open invitation.
They're so used to those courtroom dramas, aren't they?
Yeah, and they get licensed to just go on and on and on.
I often wonder if they want to be secret Oscar-winning actors.
That may be what's really going on. Haley.
Oh, a gem. Absolute gem. An absolute princess. When I first approached her, she had no idea who I was, what I was about, what we were trying to achieve, and it wasn't a hard work to convince her because I knew where she would stand.
Oh, her passion
and I knew,
would take over.
That's right. And I knew at what point I could say something to her, Kerry, where she'd go, I'm in.
Yeah.
And we got to that stage. She said, I'm in, I'll do it.
Yeah. But talk about bringing a perspective that intertwined exactly with what was going on here. Sustainability, the local farmers, sourcing locally, what we need to do in this province. And we are so blessed in this province, Jackie. And we take for granted what's available to us. And yet you see, especially these young people coming up, seeing the bounty, seeing the possibilities and all of those good things that so many of us have taken for granted for so many years and saying, okay, we can do something. And what's great about it is it's with a spirit of win-win.
Yeah.
Everybody wins, right? Our economy wins.
Yeah.
The farmer wins.
Yeah.
The industries that we're sourcing.
Economic growth can begin. Jobs can be created. People have a sense of purpose, a sense of belonging, and getting a salary at the end of it, right?
Well, and it's so contrary to the corporate interest, which is all self and shareholder driven, right? Where these young people and the farmers that have been involved in this their whole mindset, the whole momentum behind their purpose is so that everybody benefits, and that's the difference.
Yeah, that's right. I mean, that's when I love it, when the team comes together. And you know, to answer one of your first questions, you know, this conference today, it is amazing that every speaker really, it's like a jigsaw puzzle, isn't it?
Oh, they all complemented and fit perfectly.
And re-endorsed each other, and nice spins on different ways to come at it. For me, really proud, a very proud moment.
You are to be commended. It was a pleasure to be here, and I thank you for the invitation and the privilege of being informed, educated, and for knowing that there's so many people who actually care about what's going on in British Columbia.
Yeah, well, thank you so much.
Job well done.
Well, thank you.
All right, so what are you going to do next?
Sleep. Yeah, sleep. But then I'm going to put together a little one-pager to send out to the press, just to sort of let them know what's happened and everything else. You guys have got the exclusive, haven't you? Here,
well, and we're going to put it out as well. You Roadkill Radio News will get out there, and we'll spank the mainstream media.
Yeah, I think so. We're going to help you do that.
Well,
because you guys are here.
Well, and they're catching on. I will give them credit. We were actually in a meeting recently where we were kind of going over some of the stories that have hit the conventional media, that have been right out of our book, right? They've taken our stories and you know what? If that's what it takes, I'm okay with it.
So really, you guys are wannabe. You know, you're the world press photojournalistics, aren't you?
You know what? We care, right? And we want people to have the truth, and we want them to have the facts. And I think it is the voice of the people and the language of the people that really needs to be heard. And if we can give a voice and a sound system to that voice, then we're doing our job.
Well, you did, and I'm just going to say this, I won't repeat this, but you can. That was on the back of the conference program.
Yes, it's very true.
Yeah, I think that's absolutely true. Yeah. It's been a sheer joy. I'm happy, I'm going to have fun with the team now, and I hope that you too can relax.
We got to go home and edit now.
Thanks.
Somebody wants us to do all this. Thanks, Jackie,
Thank you.
Well done. Well done.
The Fresh Milk Food Politics Conference was an enormous success. Not only did it bring people from all over the country together, but it opened the door of dialogue for all stakeholders. The Fresh Milk Food Politics Conference facilitated a stellar panel of speakers that were effective in the crucial role of providing information and education to attendees. Most importantly, the Fresh Milk Food Politics Conference equipped concerned and informed citizens with the essential tools necessary to engage in the debate and bring about the needed changes that are vital to the health of all Canadians. None of this would have been possible without the generous support of our sponsors. Therefore, it is with sincere appreciation and gratitude that we acknowledge those who made this important event possible.